This is Ahval Online, meeting point of accurate news and free comment on the current affairs of Turkey. Welcome to our podcast series.
Hello, this is İlhan Tanır, Ahval editor, and today I am joined by Timur Göksel, a former spokesman for the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Lebanon. Welcome to the program, Timur Bey.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So we are going to talk about Idlib. There will be a summit on March 5th. But before that, the summit will be combined by Turkish president, Russian president, French and German leaders. But before that, President Erdogan, I believe it was a week ago, threatened and gave March 1st as the deadline for Syrian forces to withdraw from the outposts, Turkish outposts in Idlib. What is your expectation going forward to this deadline in few days?
Well, look, I personally believe this was a political move, a political declaration. What am I to expect that as of 29 February? What if the Syrian regime doesn't revert back to the boundaries set by Sochi Accord? What will Turkey do? Declare war? I mean, that's the question. I mean, okay, that's what Erdogan said. That's what other Turkish leaders also said, that this is the deadline. Deadline for what? What if it doesn't happen? I think they were counting on, I personally think, that President Erdogan was counting on his phone call with Russian President Putin last Saturday, that will come out with a new ceasefire decision, and then the Syrian regime will obey that decision. But that connection, that contact between Erdogan and Putin was the calmest, the quietest, most inconsequential contact they ever had in their relationship. None of the parties said anything about the meeting. There was no official declaration. There was no anything about that meeting. So much so that the Saturday night after they were supposed to meet, I couldn't find any reference to this meeting. It was only the next day there was not a declaration, but a one line in the newspapers that that Putin and Erdogan will join Macron and Merkel on 5 March for a summit about Idlib. So what I see is that the Erdogan's expectation that his phone call with Putin, as usual, will result in something, but it didn't. So now we are counting on this four-party summit on 5 March to come up with a new ceasefire. We have to wait and see. I don't know. I just don't know how it will work.
Mr. Erdogan, in that speech about a week ago, said that Turkey will do whatever necessary if the Syrian forces didn't withdraw from these outposts. And there have been steady of reports coming out of the region that Turkey has been sending reinforcements, armors and weapons and new commandos and all that. So, do you think this reinforcement would turn into a hot war between Turkey and Syria?
But I think Turkey has been warned several times by Russia not to attempt such a thing. We've been warned against it. Now, I don't think Turkey will totally reject the Russian stand and go on for a hot war. Now, as to reinforcements and weaponry pouring into Idlib region, that's very interesting. But as I said, what are we changing our position in Syria, that instead of holding certain locations here and there, that we are going to opt for a territorial control of the Idlib province in this case, and that will be in total rejection of the Russian warnings? I don't think so. I
understand. At the same time, just a couple days ago in Washington, D.C., there were several Syrian American groups, some of them known as close to Muslim Brotherhood groups, as well as former U.S. Ambassador Robert Ford held a press conference. And I watched that press conference today in that Ambassador Ford was saying that, yes, there are a lot of problems in Turkish government, but in this case, in Idlib, Turkey is right, and Turkey is trying to deter this attack. So this is this understanding around many different segments in different parties in Washington or other parts of the world, that Turkey is there to help and protect Syrians against Syrian government. Do you see this excuse, or do you see this argument? Do you give any validity to this argument?
It is very hard to attribute validity to this argument, because you are talking of a country. Now, as I said, no, I didn't say that, but I mean, I said earlier that the question that Turkey has been asked, is being asked in the region, especially in this region, is, why are you so keen, why are you so persistent in holding on to Idlib when there is no Kurdish militant groups in that area that pose a threat to Turkey? The Syrian regime is not going to challenge Turkey and attack Turkey across the border. So why are you holding on to this area is the question that everybody is asking. Everybody asks me the same question. I mean, not that I'm qualified to answer it, but they say, why are you guys insisting on staying in Idlib when the people there are Syrian people? They are Syrian citizens. And if Turkey leaves Idlib for any reason, why will these people will escape to Turkey? Everybody's talking of numbers of 300, 400,000, 500,000, 1 million, whatever. Why will they escape to Turkey from their own country? These are very logical questions that I find it very difficult to answer.
I understand. So the question you mentioned, why do you think this Turkish government is so keen on staying Idlib and those outposts? And according to Turkish defense minister, actually Turkey will stay in Syria, including Idlib, till there is a democratic Syrian state and there will be democratic elections. Then Turkey can leave. That's what Hulusi Akar said the other day.
Well, that sounds very fancy, but the understanding in this part of the world, if that means anything to anyone, is that Turkey is holding on to Idlib not because it faces a threat from Idlib, but because it wants to control about 30 to 40 small armed groups that Turkey's what they used to call Free Syrian Army groups, that they should be. These are the Turkish proxy groups which should stay under Turkish control, they say. Now, then of course we are justified to ask, well, why will Turkey keep all these groups under its control, 30, 40 groups or whatever? Because they also cost money. We pay their salaries, we give their weapons, we give their ammunition, we give their food, whatever. So why are we holding on to those people? Now, that's a question that most people here find it hard to answer. Why is Turkey holding on to these people? And the claim here is a claim is that the Turkey is holding on to these groups, mostly jihadist groups, because it may want to use them to occupy other parts of Syria, or even more fantastically, to prepare them to go and take part in the war in Libya, if you want to believe all this.
I understand. My final question is that we also have been seeing that the Americans are trying to reach out their Turkish allies, and it appears that U.S. is trying to exploit the tension between Russia and Turkey. How do you see the U.S. is doing? Do you think they're going to be able to bring Turkey back to the Western alliance?
Well, you answer your question yourself. I mean, this is. I think personally, the American objective in all this is to cause a split between Turkey and Russia, which they find very dangerously getting close to each other, and get Turkey back into the Western alliance. This is what I see is the American goal. Nothing else beyond that. I don't think the American interest in Idlib is anything to do with the people or the situation of the refugees, which are in miserable shape. I don't see anything to do with that. I think the Americans purely want to make sure that the Turkish-Russian relationship doesn't go any further than it is.
I understand. Thank you so much, Timur Bey, for coming on today. This was great, very insightful conversation. Hope to talk to you soon again.
Okay, my pleasure. Okay, thank you.
You can follow Ahval News Online podcast series through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Spreaker. All you need to know about Turkey is here, for your ears, mind, and attention. Thank you for listening to our podcast.